Today, on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, sunny, 9 to 5, I've got for you guys a little book review. I don't have the book with me because my mom's actually reading it right now. I read a lot of books and then pass them on to her, but I think I'll put the cover of the book right here. Thank you very much, Ethan. So this week, or my latest book I've read and finished is The Oxygen Advantage. Now, I'm going to start this review by asking you guys a question. Do you happen to yawn a lot? Do you have a cough that you can't seem to get over? Do you have bad allergies? Do you snore at night? Do you find yourself taking big sighs often? Are you not able to exercise very intensely? And when you do, for the people that can exercise intensely, do you find that you lose breath and have to breathe out of your mouth? These are all signs and symptoms. Yes, these very, very, very common things are symptoms. Today, we are living in an age of chronic overbreathing. Yes, that is the theme of this book. That's what it's about, and that's what it is trying to get to the bottom of and help fix. So how do we do this? Or actually, how do we do this mouth breathing? Or how do we do this overbreathing? How do we overbreathe? Well, we breathe through our mouths. That's wrong. That's how we overbreathe. Actually, I should start with this. Overbreathing. That just sounds weird. I mean, we breathe because we need to breathe. So, shouldn't doing more be good? Shouldn't overbreathing be good? No. See, we don't need to be overbreathing. We're designed to be efficient breathers. We don't need to put a bunch of effort into breathing to do it the best. And actually, we need to put very little effort into breathing compared to what we're doing now. See, if we're not breathing efficiently and we're over breathing, this leads to problems. You can't over or under. You have to be at that efficient, that set point. And that point is slow, relaxed breathing. So let me get into the next part I started up on. How do we do this? We're mouth breathers. Our society, the way we're living, has helped us with this. Helped as in directed us into this way of overbreathing through our mouths with, you name it, little activity, unhealthy eating. There's a lot of ways that we have become overbreathers and mouth breathers. And that's not the point of the video though. That's just the intro. The important part starts now. What do we do about this? First, you just flip it around. We all know the two ways we are able to breathe: through the mouth, the wrong way, and through the nose. Yes, we're always supposed to breathe through the nose. And here's the thing. A lot of you elite athletes out there might be thinking, oh, you're supposed to breathe through your nose, but I breathe through my mouth when I have to do my exercise because it's my thing. Well, no. It is okay to take a few mouth breaths if you really need it, if you're a super intense part of your match, but mouth breathing is never, except for that small amount of time where you really need it, you should never mouth breathe. Always through the nose. So that's the first step to curing are over breathing. But before I get to the next step, let me talk a little bit about the science and why overbreathing is bad. So we all know that breathing works by breathing in oxygen, breathing out carbon dioxide. We all know this. But we never really think about it. So here's the thing. Breathe in oxygen, yeah, we need that. That's what we all think. We need the oxygen. Oh, we just get rid of the CO2. But it's not that simple at all. See, we do need oxygen. But the thing that we're lacking, that we're all lacking, is that CO2. It's not just a waste product. Even though we breathe it out, it's not just a waste product. See, this is what happens when we overbreathe. We take these big exhales through the mouth, inhales through the mouth, and big exhales through the mouth. See, we get all this oxygen in, kind of, because you really don't get that efficient of a breath in your mouth. And then we get rid of all the CO2, and when you exhale through the mouth, you do get rid of a lot of CO2, which is a bad thing. See, this is what happens. When you mouth breathe over a long period of time, you reduce the amount of CO2 in your blood, which leaves you with a low tolerance to CO2. And the role that CO2 plays in our bodies, or one of them, is that it helps with the transport of oxygen from your hemoglobin in your blood to the muscles. And if you don't have enough CO2, the oxygen in your blood is not going to efficiently go to your muscles because it's going to want to hold on to it. So this is the very important role of CO2 in the body. We need it to be efficient at using oxygen. And if you have a low CO2 tolerance, your blood's going to hold on to the oxygen, not release it into your muscles, including your brain and your heart, and that's going to lead to a lot of problems. So, what do we need to do? First, I already mentioned, start nose breathing so you can become more efficient with less oxygen, more CO2. So then when you do need that high level of oxygen, you can actually start using it all. So what is this nose breathing going to do for you? Well, it's going to slow down your breath, and it's going to decrease the amount of CO2 you let out and decrease the amount of oxygen in a time period. So you do get a better breath of oxygen through your nose. You get 20 to 30% more oxygen through your nose. But it's going to become slower. So you have to become more efficient with using your oxygen slower and being able to control your breath. This will lead to higher CO2 tolerance, which will lead to things I said. So that will in itself help you slow down your breath. Starting a nose breathe will slow down your breath. It'll increase oxygen and CO2. But we can take it a step further. You can start practicing with your breath. You can use your nose and find a nice quiet space and really focus on your breathing and really try to slow it down. This is going to, like we've said, like you probably can guess, increase the amount of CO2 in your blood. And this, then, over a period of time when that increases and you're able to relax and calmly breathe slowly with the high CO2 amount in your blood, you're going to be able to use oxygen more efficiently and need less. So what you do, it's called breathe light, breathe right. That's what he calls it. You just sit down, slow your breath, and for 10 minutes, you want to be able to have a tolerable hunger for air. That means that it's not so strong that you have to really force your breathing, but you can just feel that urge to take a bigger breath. And if you can maintain that for 10 minutes, it will change your breathing and you will make progress. So that's the next step. And then the third advanced step, which has a couple parts, is holding your breath. So holding your breath is becoming more of a popular thing, thanks to Wim Hof especially. But some people don't agree with his method of doing his breath holds. You see, breath holds are a good thing, and any way you do them is a good thing. But the Wim Hof method that I did make a video on before tells you to take 30 very deep breaths through your mouth, as deep as you can, to get the longest breath hold time. And some say the breath hold time actually isn't as important as it's made out to be by having to take all these very deep breaths. You see, what you want to do is actually take normal, relaxed breaths through your nose, and then hold your breath. You're not going to get as long as breath hold time, and that's okay. It might be discouraging if you've been doing it, getting long breath hold times, but the Wim Hof method is not only practicing breath holds, but kind of training you to get into this habit of, not maybe a habit, but it's like hyperventilating, and it's not a good habit or even practice to do at all to be taking these very deep breaths through your mouth. If you can at all times practice taking calm, relaxed, slow breaths through the nose, that is what's going to bring you more benefit than the longer breath hold time, which is said in this book. So I think that's a good wrap up. I don't need to get too more in depth. There's a lot of things he talks about, like with high altitude training. A lot of athletes, advanced athletes, will go to higher altitudes to train, and obviously that's super healthy. Increases the carrying capacity of oxygen in your blood, and since there's less oxygen, CO2 increases, so the oxygen efficiency transport to the muscles becomes a lot greater. And what he says in this book is that you do not need to go out, you don't even need to go out at high altitudes. You can simply do this, get the same exact effect by training with your breath holds, going on walks, holding your breath, going on runs, holding your breath, doing any type of endurance activity, holding your breath. And if that sounds interesting to you, you should totally look into this book. And even if you're not into the high altitude thing, you should still look into this book, because everyone breathes, and most people don't do it as efficiently as they could, or not as efficiently at all. So I recommend this book to everyone. Must know information for thriving. Those are the books I read. Those are the books I like to read. Those are the things I like to think about. Things that will help me thrive. So if you like the sound of that, fucking keep tuning in, because that's what I'm going to be talking about. That's what Ethan fucks with too. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to breathe through your nose. Make sure to get a good night's sleep. Make sure to invest in your assets. Coming up next. Let's go. See ya!